everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, where you're anything but silent. I am your host for today, Katie, and I am here with my co-host Josiane, and we're here with the Bounce Checks podcast to talk to our latest evictee, Renee. Renee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to chat with you. We have a couple of questions. So, our first question for you is: how confident were you in the three-person alliance that you had with Ty and Claudia when you initially agreed to it?
Pretty confident. I know Ty has wanted to work with me a lot throughout the game, and I felt like this was a position that he was actually in, that he'd stay true to that. However, knowing Ty, I also know he's had a long history of wanting me out of the game, so I kept that hesitancy in the back of my head.
Well, you had an up and down relationship with Ty and ended up working with him, and we saw him call you bestie in your goodbye message. When did that change? When did that change for you and Ty? Do you feel like there was real trust there?
The thing with me and Ty that I don't know if everybody saw was from the get-go of the game, we were actually very, very close bestie-wise. We were very much brother and sister. We found out we lived quite close to each other, and you know, we wanted to go traveling together and all this stuff. So I think we always had the personal best friend relationship there. Game wise, though, I'm sure he can attest to this as well. We frustrated the out of each other because of how much we were on the fence with how the other person was playing. So I think it was true. I think we wanted it really to be there, but I always felt second best for Ty, and I felt he would always put Zach, Kuzi, Hope, someone else above me. So I needed to start knocking out his players to be his first choice, but it still didn't quite catch on at the end.
Cool. How do you feel about your relationship with Claudia after the last 2 weeks?
Claudia's game is really interesting. I think when I was in it, I had to play that game so defensively that I was always in it, just pushing for myself. And I think that would have been a really great time for her to push a bit harder for me. Watching her be so nonchalant about it throughout the house, and just kind of, once the POV was used on her, kind of wipe her hands clean and no, it's Ty's moving, If we're in alliance and we're as strong as you say that we are, this would have been in time to kick it in. However, I feel like I would have gone way farther in conversation with Ty than Claudia has. Those two can't even agree on how to toast their bread the same way. So I don't doubt that they wouldn't come to an agreement on this either. But it would have been nice to see, as an alliance member, her advocate a bit more for me.
What are your thoughts on Claudia and Ty's relationship overall?
Yeah, it was funny being caught in the middle of that multiple times. I think there's a lot of time I got to spend with the two of them together. I'd walk in one time and we'd all be in an argument, and they'd be hashing it out, going after each other. And then I'd walk into another room and they'd be like full hugging each other. So I never know what I'm walking into with those two, but it was a very, very funny. I think a part of me as the fan side wanted to see our trio go forward because the dynamic was so hilarious. It was like the showmance and the bestie. Who would win in the end? Who knows? So I think that little twist on it with them, I never know where they sit. And I think even in the house now, they're probably up and down. And Claudia was even talking about maybe flipping on Ty at the end. So who knows where they're at? Big question mark.
Cool. A few weeks ago, everyone seemed pretty set on getting Ty out of the house. When did that shift into wanting to work with him?
I think I've always wanted to work with Ty. I genuinely love how we've talked about the game, even when we were on opposing ends and he put me up and I put him up. We really were able to objectively look at the game together and strategize, even if we felt on opposing sides. So it wasn't like I always had it out for him specifically, but when everybody was so adamant on more so getting him out, he was a big player to get out, and he was someone who I felt I really couldn't 100% trust. So I wasn't opposed to seeing him go. However, I think always I would have hoped, with all the times he reached out to me, that we would have been able to bridge something a bit stronger alliance wise.
Is there anything like you would have done differently in the game?
I think maybe this one's hard for me because I feel like the Kuzi move was a very, very difficult one for me. It was one that I knew could potentially happen if Ty pulled himself off. I had a really big feeling like either Daniel or Kuzi would go up. However, Kuzi coming so late with her information, I feel like didn't put me in a good position where I could have actually kept her off of the block if she was a bit more open with me, but I would have maybe wanted to bridge something stronger with her earlier on.
Cool. Who do you place the blame or most of the blame on for your eviction?
the first person I always put it on, just because I'm hard on myself, is myself. I feel like, you know, I could have been more persuasive. I could have used these words. I could have used that. But at the end of the day, I know it comes down to Ty for this one, because Ty has always had his eye on me for whatever reason, to either want me out, but also to want to work with me. And it was always this toss up of which one is he going to end up doing. And I think for the whole time throughout the game, when I was like, I always feel like you'll cut me before someone else. And for that to actually be shown in that week, I think we got into a lot of tension for that reason, because I was showing him like, you've never done anything tangible to me to show me that you would go out of your way to protect me. And now that you have the opportunity, the first chance you get, you're going to cut me. So it was Ty at the end of the day that I feel like had that hand, because the plan was to keep me safe, regardless, or keep the other person safe who was left over after he used the POV. So I would definitely say Ty on this one.
Heading into the jury house, is there anyone you'll be campaigning for?
You know, I told Claudia when I left that, don't worry, I'm gonna do my work in the jury house for you. I will campaign for you. I will spin it so beautifully for you. Leaving it now and kind of looking at her game as a whole, I'm still so open. The thing that I'm gonna do, that I've said from the beginning of the game before I even was a juror, just as a player, is I will look at every argument objectively, and I will generally pick the one that I feel like is best for the game. And I feel like I am rooting for Ty and Cece to make it to the end there. However, it's going to be that bittersweet pill of like, how are you going to pitch that you got there? Are you going to recognize the fact that you cut a lot of trust and broke a lot of relationships to get there? So I think I'll be honestly campaigning for everyone, in the sense of like looking at everybody's strongest assets. So I can't say one person specifically, but I will be rooting more for Ty and Cece to pull through.
Cool. And what are you looking for from the players who are left in the game in order for them to get your vote at the end?
Listen, this season was not shy of twists, turns, grit, resiliency, a lot of obstacles. And I want to see that represented in our finalists. Yes, it's great to have social relationships and associations that help carry you through, but were you ever comfortable? Were you able to always strategize at every point of the game? I want someone who eats, slept, and breathes the game. I also want them to embody the characteristics of our cast. Like, we have such an explosive and powerful cast. I mentioned it in my eviction speech. I truly was so proud to stand so far at the end with them. However, I really want to see that like fight in our finalists. I don't want to just see it come out at the end. I want to see how you kept that energy the whole way through, because the twists and turns of this season need to be represented in that finalist.
Okay, well, based on how you feel today, who's most likely to get your vote and who's least likely to get your vote on finale night?
Most likely would definitely be Ty. Just on paper, he is the definition of a competition beast. I will give it to him. His ego will probably explode once I admit that, but it's true. He's fought himself out of so many different things. And even if I was one of the people taking the shots at him, I had to even stand there and be like, you did that. The least likely right now for me would be Anika, just because I can't see her game as much, and I don't love how she went about it. The one thing I will give for Anika, though, that I think will be her strongest pitch, is that she came into this game not knowing a single dang thing. And it was like week 4 or 5, and she's like, did you know the POV is like a fight for your life kind of thing? And I was like, yeah, girl, like, where have you been? So I think to learn the game as quickly as she did and be able to actually strategize about it and move forward in it and get to the position that she is. And she really did pull out a very clutch win at a very critical time for her. So I think for that, I have respect for her, but the way she went about it, she would have to really sway me
on. Cool. If you ended up making it to the end, who would you have wanted to sit next to?
Ty. And that came in really what I was looking at. Obviously, you have a consideration of who can I beat at the end, but my justice with Kuzi, because it was a very hard move to pull on her, because I really have so much respect as a play, like for her as a player and a person. But the one information, like piece of negative information I took forward from her from my HOH week was, to be the best, you need to beat the best. So I really feel like Ty could go toe to toe with me on that, because I think we've come from very similar positions in terms of being thrown up on the block multiple times and people wanting us out at one point and this and that, but we've gotten ourselves out of those situations in 2 very different ways. And I think to represent that in the finale, or as the 2 finalists, I think would have been a really cool argument to see go hand in hand, and to see what people, maybe the jury valued more, the competition wins or the social strategy of it. So I think that would have been really cool to see. And for that reason, I would have taken him.
Well, of the final four, who do you think is playing the best game?
I definitely think Daniel's played a really good social game in terms of like, just being that he is the lovable social player of the season. He embodies a lot of the energy and the charisma and the quirks and the things of the season. I think that helped him along a lot. And sorry, what was the question again? I'm rambling.
No worries. Of the final four, who do you think is playing the best game?
Oh yeah. So social wise, I think Daniel has played a very, very strong game. However, competition wise, again, you can't deny it. Ty has played a very phenomenal game physically, but I would like to see more of how his strategy comes into play.
Cool. And who will not make it to the final three?
I'm gonna say now, it's kind of repetitive and redundant. I'm sorry, but Anika, I don't see her making it there. When I left, Ty's one promised me, which I'm taking with a grain of salt, because he promised Nene when he cut her or had a hand in cutting her that he would bring me and Cece to the final three. He told Kuzi that he would bring Anika, myself, and Cece to the final four. He told me, don't worry, I will send Anika right after you. So I think a lot of people had it out for Anika, Cece and Ty. I think they'll take a shot at her. However, Daniel, I don't know if he would go back on Anika. So I think that would be, if Daniel wins the POV, that would be the only way I could maybe see Ty or Cece walking out.
Okay, this is my favorite part of the interviews. I'm going to play a little game with you. So I'm going to name the remaining cast members that are currently in the house, and I want you to give me one word you associate with them. Sound good?
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right, so the first name will be Anika.
Anika. Okay, hold on. She is the undercover hilarious person of the season. She's so freaking witty and funny. So I would give hilarious for her.
Okay, Daniel C.
He's just given energy. He has the sass. He has the emotion. You know what? Actually, though, I'm gonna do him a little dirty. He's gonna hate me for this one. He is a little emotional, and that's coming from me. So yeah, emotional, but emotional in a good way.
Okay, Claudia.
Claudia, risky. I think Claudia was risky for my game. I think she plays a little risky, and yeah, and she's a risky person in competitions too, because she's very close to winning all the time. So I'll say risky and sass. She's got the sass. I don't know if you saw Library Gate, but she's sassy.
And Ty.
Besides competitor and competition B is the obvious, stubborn. Ty is very, very stubborn. When he thinks he knows something, he knows it well. He will run with it. That is the only thing in his mind. He loves to play devil's advocate. And no, I like to look at all sides. No, he's stubborn. I gotta say it. Ty, whatever. You can come for me after.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all we have for you today, Renee. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the time. It was great to meet you.
Bye. Nice to meet you guys.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, the place for everything but silent. I'm host Isaiah, back with Bounce Checks to talk Big Brother Canada, and we have an excellent interview with the next juror, Anika. Anika, how you doing?
I am good, Isaiah. How are you?
Good. Happy for you to get the chance to speak with us. Our first question for you. So we know coming into the house, you were relatively unfamiliar with Big Brother, and you ended up making the final four. What were your expectations coming into the house, and how different was the game from what you expected?
Yeah, so you're right. I literally didn't know much about what I was signing up for. Like, I was very excited to be a part of it. So it was like a big adventure for me. And I think what really helped me come this far was like, I came with an open mind. I didn't come with a big strategy, big master plan to play a certain role. I was genuinely myself. And I think played a true, honest gameplay. Like, I was exactly myself in the game. And I think creating genuine relationships, the alliances, kind of like learning as I went, really helped me come all the way to top four.
Cool. What do you think your biggest area of growth was as a player from when you first entered the house to now?
I think definitely like the first week, I feel like I was just like, enjoying the time, having like the best time of my life. And then kind of like very soon I learned, okay, Anika, like buckle up, we got to start playing some games, start creating some alliances, because soon I realized, okay, I'm not the comp queen. So I need to have like my social game pretty much like on par. So building those alliances, building those relationships, I think was kind of like a big point for me. And then just seeing how I can set my emotions aside and think only game, put all my head in the game, and kind of go from there really did surprise me.
All right. Anika, if you could have done anything differently in the game, what you have done and why?
Yeah, so one thing I would definitely have done differently is in my HOH, I would have put Ty and Claudia on the block. And if Ty won the POV, which he like did, he would have taken himself off, and then Claudia would have gone home. And then the next week, Renee probably wouldn't have won the POV, Daniel would have, and then I would still be in the game. So that's one thing I do regret, is not putting Ty up on my HOH.
Cool. Why do you think you were evicted over Daniel this week?
Yeah, so that is because Claudia does have a like game relationship with Daniel, and personal, more like one-on-one, that I didn't have with Claudia, because yes, we were in a lot of alliances together, but me and her, we never really talked game one-on-one, didn't really have any personal one-on-one connection. So for Claudia's game, it just made more sense that she picks Daniel over me.
Do you think there's anything you could have done differently this week to stay in the game?
To be very honest, not really, because it all came down to the POV win, because I was not on the block, but then that didn't really matter to me. That Ty didn't put me on the block, because again, it all came down to POV. Claudia won fair and square, and between me and Daniel C, I kind of knew she would pick him, but I did try a little bit. I did make my pitch just out of respect for her, but then I just didn't want to make vague promises to her at this point in the game. It's too late. People know who we are, where our head is at. So I don't think lies would have flied at this time.
Cool. What made you and Daniel shift from wanting Ty out into wanting to work with him?
Yeah, so I think that was definitely my bad. Daniel kind of always knew not to trust him, but then I think after Ty used the POV on me in the double eviction, and like him always saying that, okay, Kuzi told him to like trust me or work with me, and then everything kind of like made me, okay, maybe let's give like trust him a little bit, because pretty much throughout the season I always had like trust issues with him. Me and Ty would always like have our fights where I kept saying, I don't trust you. So like, I was like, okay, finally, let's actually put some trust in him, not put him. So he sees that, okay, I genuinely do want to work with him, and he would help me out, or like whatever, like return the favor the coming week when I can't play the HOH. So that is the reason I did not put him up on the block and decided to trust him.
Well, going off of that, do you regret trusting Ty and not putting him on the block during your HOH week? And if you did end up putting him on the block, do you think this week would have turned out a little bit differently?
100% regret not trusting Ty. He betrayed me. I don't respect the move that he did, even though yes, it is his game move, it helps him, but I just don't like the way he went about it, because I genuinely did trust him at that point. So it did break my heart, broke my trust. And yes, everything would have been different, because if I had put him up beside Cece, and he takes himself off the block, Cece would have gone home. And then this week, because Cece had like an advantage in the POV because of like how small she is, she could move faster and blah blah blah. So at that, and then Daniel was second in the POV, so then Daniel would have won, probably. I'm not saying for sure, but maybe, and I would still be in the game, and we could have gotten Renee out this week. So that was a bad decision on my part.
In your opinion, why did your trust start to waver with Kuzi leading up to the week that she left the house?
So it started to waver when it was Cece's week, HOH week, where Ty saved to pulled himself off the block, and it was going to be someone else, one of us besides Hope. That's when I heard that she had this apparently this deal with Cece that you don't put me on the block, I don't put you on the block kind of thing during her HOH. So that was a big thing that did break my trust. I'm like, well, you're securing your spot, and you're not really worrying about the people you say are your strongest allies, your friends and whatnot. That's where it started. and then seeing the way she moved things, the things that she did, even like in Renee's HOH, the things that she was going around like telling people about like me, about Daniel C, just like throwing us under the bus, telling Ty about the crown, like everything she did from that time really broke my trust in her. And I just don't respect the game that she played, the way she went about it.
Anika, taking in consideration taking what you know in consideration, so when, oh my gosh, I keep messing up. Let me cut that out. So sorry. What are you taking in consideration when you cast your vote for the winner?
Yeah, so I think for me, I want a winner like with like similar gameplay that I played, that I respect, and I want to see as a winner. I'm not going to be voting for someone who lied and betrayed people on their way to the top 2. So for me, definitely social game is a big one. Like I want the winner to be just a genuine person who played an honest game, and then had like, again, good social game, good at comms. I don't want the winner to be extreme ends of anything, but then just a game that I do really align with and respect.
Cool. Who do you think is going to make it to the final 2, and who do you hope makes it to the final 2?
That's a good question, because with the upcoming comps, I think Ty and Cece, they do have an advantage in the endurance comp over Daniel. And I don't know about the second. So the final one, I think it can be anyone's game, to be honest. So who will be, I am not sure, but who I want to be is, I want it to be either Daniel C or Ty, or Daniel C or CC, because the thing is, for me, I know my vote is going to go to Daniel C. And besides him, I would rather have Ty over CC, because at least Ty deserves to be in the second place. I don't think CC deserves to be in the top 2.
Cool.
Okay. You kind of answered our next question. It was basically asking who you're most likely to vote for, least likely. So I guess we could skip to our last question. So we have 3 of the remaining house guests, and we just wanted you to give one word to describe them in your opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is Ty.
Palm Beast.
Okay. Claudia.
Oh God. Oh. Kind of insignificant.
And Daniel.
Social gamer.
Okay. And that's the end of our questions, Anika. And thank you so much for talking to us. And we look forward to seeing you on finale night.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, Anika. Thank you.